welcome everybody to today's webinar, and this is our 15th webinar in our talk series, and we've been having very interesting talks, and we have Sri Ishwaranji, who has kindly consented to do it twice a month for us because everybody has requested for him to come. For those who were not here earlier and have joined us today, Rtambhara is a wellness company that looks at wellness in a holistic way, not just the body, but the mind as well. And all this through the practice of knowledge and wisdom that comes from our ancient Indian scriptures and heritage. So we have for you today, Sri Ishwaranji, who will be talking on a beautiful subject, which is fragrance of forgiveness. So Sri Ishwaranji is a senior disciple and protege of the internationally eminent philosopher Swami Parthasarathy. He's been studying, researching, and propagating Vedanta for over 25 years under Swamiji's guidance. Sri Ishwaranji is the founder of Vedanta Institute of Bangalore. So we're going to have 45 minutes of talk, Ishwaranji, that's correct?
Yes.
Okay, 45 minutes of talk followed by 15 minutes of question and answer. Please, we would request you to put your questions on the chat. Use the chat function, which is at the bottom of your screen, and type in your questions, or you can wait afterwards and then you can ask them personally after those chat questions are finished. You will be muted through the talk, and please remain muted because we are recording the session. And if, like I said, you can post your questions, or you can ask them personally after we finish with the chat questions. So over to you, Ishwaranji.
Hari Om. Before I start discussing on this topic, fragrance of forgiveness, there is a statutory warning I wanted to give. This warning is common for any of these qualities, we discuss. Compassion, this, forgiveness, love, all these, various emotions that we discuss. What we have to understand is this. What is essential here is these qualities are not designed to be practiced. These qualities are consequences of a practice that you do. You do something, as a result of which something comes out. That something coming out is the fragrance. The flower, when it blooms, as the effect of that blooming, the fragrance comes. See, you can't be extracting the fragrance out of flower. Then that's violence. When the flower blooms, fragrance spreads automatically. Similarly, when you grow as a human being, out of your growth, out of your understanding, out of your evolution, forgiveness should come. But however, when we are explaining forgiveness concept, we will be explaining the concept through manifestation, through expression. But you will get inspired by that expression, and there will be a natural weakness or a tendency in all of us to imitate, to practice. When we use the word practice, what we are meaning is imitation. That's all. I'm going to imitate as somebody does. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets into that ecstasy and he starts dancing. So what I do, I look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I get so inspired. What do I do immediately, sir? I also start dancing. If I get inspiration from Ramana Maharishi, what I do? Sit quietly. If I look at Buddha and get inspired, that is why it is not easy to get inspired looking at Krishna. Why, sir? First thing you have to do is what? 16,000 wives you have to manage. After that, you can talk about Krishna. That is why I prefer him. Why? You can't imitate him. Whereas these people can be imitated easily. But however, the problem is, if I have to explain perfection, that explanation can be given only with the expression. You cannot understand perfection. I'll just give an example. It will become very easy. See, the two kids were sitting and talking. One child is telling the other, you know, my mother loves me so much. The way it says so much itself, we understand the depth. It says, so much my mother loves me. And the other child asks, how? You know, whatever I ask, my mother gives. And the mother is overhearing from the next room. These two kids doesn't know. The mother has come back from office. You know, the mother overhears that. What is her understanding? He says, the child doesn't understand my love. What? Her love cannot be confined to this factor. But as far as the child is concerned, what is the factor? Whatever I ask, my mother gives. Therefore, my mother loves me. That mother will say what? Whatever you ask, I am refusing to give. Child, understand that is also love. But this aspect of love, the child cannot understand. You can't expect the child to understand. Similarly, we will not be able to understand that quality without expression. But however, don't get carried away by that expression, by that superficial, manifestation, by the act of kindness or act of compassion, the act of forgiveness. But however, you can understand it only through that. Otherwise, you can't understand. That's why when I ask people, what is this, forgiveness that you can think of? Everybody gives forgiveness. Classic manifestation of forgiveness you find in Christ. And I ask them, yeah, correct. Everybody says, yeah, Ishwaran, correct. Classic expression is Christ. I ask them where, when. Everyone goes to the cross. People put him on the cross and he said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know not what they do. I said, that is not the best part of forgiveness of Christ. That is local. A classic dimension of forgiveness. For you to understand, you need to understand the opposite of that. What is not forgiveness? Whenever we discuss forgiveness, we always say, I can forgive certain things, I cannot forgive certain things. I can forgive few people, I cannot forgive few people. You see, now all this is what? It means, according to me, you have done something that is wrong, and I say it's okay. That is what I call as forgiveness, isn't it? Whenever I say, I forgive you, what is it? When do we use that term? You say, you do something, according to me, that is wrong. And then I say that is okay. Remember, this is not forgiveness. This is feeding your ego. You are enforcing your standard on the other person. So the other person has to live his life according to my standard. That is not forgiveness, please. That is intruding into somebody else's space. You are interfering in another person's life. This is not. This is feeding your ego. That's all. And whenever you people saw this topic, fragrance of forgiveness, there are a few points you have to remember, for you to come in. One is don't attempt to practice it. Don't try. It will not work. It will not work in the sense it will not produce the desired effect. I will explain to you what is what should be the outcome. If forgiveness were to happen, what should be the outcome? See, that we will see next. First, understand, don't try to practice. However, they will explain it through expression. That expressions will be so inspiring and you will develop the temptation to imitate in the name of practice. Don't do that mistake. Now here is what is not forgiveness. That's what we have started the analysis. Now, what is not forgiveness? In that discussion, you have to remember when you read the topic, fragrance of forgiveness, did you think in terms of offering forgiveness or seeking forgiveness? Is Ishwaran going to teach me how to forgive people, or is going to teach me how to ask for forgiveness from people? Whenever you read forgiveness, 99% of the time the thought would have gone only towards, I want to forgive few people, I am not able to. Will Ishwaran give me a technique? Hardly we will see, how am I to seek forgiveness? How am I to ask for forgiveness? That dimension of it, hardly we would pay attention to. Most of us would be paying attention only to the other side of it. In any emotion, it is always two aspects is there. There is one who is receiving, another one is giving, expressing. For example, anger, if you take, I am expressing anger, another person is receiving that anger. Or he or she is expressing that anger, I am at the receiving end. The two things there. Now, when you say that I want to master forgiveness, you need to be a master in both, expert in both sides. I can only ask for forgiveness, I never know how to forgive, or I can only forgive people, but I don't know how to ask for forgiveness. Both sides, it's of no use. Like a lot of people come and say, I don't like people lying to me. Hardly I hear anyone saying, I don't like to lie to people. I don't want anyone lying to me. That everybody says. But hardly we take a stand that I will not lie to another person. Remember, forgiveness, when we are discussing, all this dimensions needs to be cleared in the beginning. Then comes the next, forgiving. What is this true forgiveness, sir? Remember, true forgiveness is giving freedom to the other person and allowing him to grow in his own pace, in his own way, in his own style. The problem for most of us is this. What is it, sir? You can't keep quiet. You will go and interfere. That non-interfering. And we interfere and we justify our intruding into their space under the garb of, under the mask of my intentions are good. My intention is what? My intention is to help you. My intention is to correct you. That's why they say constructive criticism. I've never understood the terminology. There is no such thing called constructive criticism. Criticism is negative. There is no such thing called criticism is destructive, period. You can never have it. Whenever we use the word constructive criticism, what is that we mean there? The meaning is my intention is positive. My intention is to correct you. Therefore, I am criticizing you. What is that? You perform an action, you do something, I see you doing something, and I have certain conditioning. I have certain value systems. I have certain beliefs. I have certain understanding. One hand, I see your action. Other hand, I have my prejudices, my values, my beliefs, my understanding, my conditioning. Helplessly, I will compare the two. I compare, I conclude you are wrong. And then I take a stand. I am not going to be punishing you. I am not going to be penalizing you for that. I say it's okay. Okay. Is that forgiveness? Or is it forcing the other person to live? Isn't it a way of feeding your ego? Remember, your ego thrives not with the negativities of life. It thrives with the positivities of life. That's how it takes a backdoor entry. Ego never enters to your system through front door. Is a thief. Only guests will come through the front door, through the main door. They seek permission and they enter. Thief will come only breaking through. Back door only will come. Ego is that back. How he comes in, sir? He always comes in the mask. That masking. This idea. Remember, the greatest interference is giving morals and ethics for another to live, another to follow. Now, you want an example. The highest act of forgiving in the scriptures, world scriptures, I have not seen any other scene. Amazing scene. One day, Jesus Christ was sitting and lecturing to the people. There's a crowd gathered around him. Not like, a Zoom class. Not Zoom sessions. Christ period. Maybe coronavirus was not there. So he was giving, discourse as it were. And a group of people, few elders brought a lady and threw her on the floor, saying, "Oh, master, we caught her red hand committing adultery." And it is there. In the gospel, it is there exactly the same words. We caught her committing adultery, red hand, they say. I remember in our, by Bible class, I asked our father, "Father, where is a man?" I asked. These people brought that lady, saying, "How can you commit adultery alone? Adultery cannot be committed alone, you see. You need a man, no. These people caught her red hand means the man also has to be there, right?" And, he said in the class I asked, he said, "Meet me in the staff room." Said, after the class, come to staff room and meet me in the school. I said, I didn't go that side at all, actually. But it's very interesting, these people brought her and asked Christ, "What are we to do now? What is to be done now with her?" and Christ is not answering. It's very, very interesting how, if you get a chance, go through it, read that episode in Bible, how they picturize it. He's not, and he doesn't even look up to the crowd. Throughout, he was just scribbling something on the sand. Like, the kids, you take them to this one, they'll sit and keep scribbling. Like that, they're scribbling something. He's not even looking up. But they insisted. Tell us what to do. What they were asking is, the law of Moses is, thou shalt not commit adultery. If anyone commits adultery, means they should be stoned to death. This is the law. Now, they are asking Christ, now what are you saying? Remember, they were not interested in adultery. They were not interested in that lady, Mary Magdalene. They were not interested in her. They wanted to corner Christ. And these people brilliantly thought they cornered Christ now. How any answer Christ gives, he is stuck. There are only two chances are there. What is it? Either he has to say, yeah, Moses says stone her to death. No, stone her to death. What is your problem? But then immediately they will say what? All your lifetime you are talking about forgiveness. Your talk of forgiveness is what? All these days. A farce, man. It's kind of a farce. All this forgiveness discourse of yours, useless. Out. Suppose if Christ says, don't stone her to death, don't stone her, they will immediately file a case on Christ, stating what? He is speaking against our religion. And they said, now this guy is caught. We know how to corner this fellow. But what they didn't understand is, this men of wisdom cannot be caught by this, stupid, ignorant fellows. He didn't even look up. Beautiful reply of his. He says, let him cast the first stone who has never sinned. He says, yes, Moses said was correct. What are you supposed to do, sir? Stone. But what you have to do, he said, who should be casting the first stone? The one who has never sinned. Let him cast the first stone. Others can follow. Very, very interesting. Even then, Christ is not looking up. He's not looking up at all. He's not looking at the crowd. He's not looking at the accusers. He's not looking at that lady. And his disciples also were there. He's not looking up to them. Nothing. After some time, there is silence. He looks up. Nobody was there. Only this lady is crying. He asks her, where are the accusers? He says, they all left, sir. What are you doing? Go, says. She says, I have sinned. What a beautiful reply by a master. He says, if you believe so, don't repeat. Go. That's all. This is called forgiveness. That's it. You want to understand forgiveness? Remember this, Mary Magdalene. And the proof is what, sir? She is the only lady stood by Christ. When he was when he was put on the cross, only she stood by. All his 12 disciples deserted him. Even Peter, who is supposed to be the man standing at the gates of heaven to receive people, even what did he do, sir? He also refused. And St. Thomas goes on asking, who is this man going on forgiving people? Who is he to forgive? And he says, it is not me, man. It is your faith that has saved you. I have got nothing to do with it. This suspension of that individuality, suspension of refusing to pay any judgment, to give any judgment on others. Why? From where that comes. Now you can't start practicing it now. You can't say, okay, from today I'm not going to judge anybody. That is not possible by you. That can come only how, sir? Only by the understanding. What is understanding? There's only one understanding that is required in life. What is it, sir? Everyone is expressing helplessly their nature, known in this Sanskrit term called vasanas, known as desires, nature, their tendencies. Everyone has got their own nature. They're expressing it. Forget it. Why are you interfering there? You see, the refusal to interfere with the expressions of others is where. But our point will be what? No, 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 no. We will go and give. We will go on interfering with their expressions. Why are you expressing this aspect of you? And in always in the discussion of forgiveness, when we say, immediately people come out with some extreme examples. Now you start asking questions to them. If Christ would have asked a question to Mary Magdalene, immediately she would have started defending herself. You know what happened to me when I was not interested in getting into this business, man. I was forced by those people. And you call and ask, this thief. Every thief you go and discuss. Everybody says what? I don't want to be a thief. The society has forced me to, in that. I was put in that situation. I was a victim of that situation. That's it. And everyone who makes a mistake believes themselves to be a victim. Now you go and question. You go and analyze. Immediate reaction of there is going to be defense. And what are we going to do, sir? You go on saying, what is it? That's what, Russell, Bertrand Russell, he says, a thief will speak against thieving. A liar will be against lying. The smugglers, those who smuggle goods and things, they expect honesty, trustworthiness. You should be trustworthy. You should be trusting. You do a pickpocket from a pickpocketer, what he will do? Will he say, hey, my God, you are a better thief than me? He's not going to appreciate. He is going to do what? Like you see these movies, no? This Italian Job. It's a fantastic movie. I keep on watching that movie. Italian Job. These guys go and steal gold from somewhere. One of the member cheats all these fellows and takes the entire gold and runs away. And these fellows go and steal again from him. That's the whole story. So what are they trying to say? See, I don't want anybody to steal from me. Who will say that? Beautifully, Russell proves that it is only the man who is corrupt will talk against corruption. Unless there is corruption in you, you will not discuss against corruption. Unless you are a thief, you will not talk against it. Now we all talk, apply the rule to morals, values, ethics. We all talk ethics. We all talk values. Why? That's what Vivekananda says. Religion and ethics will look very similar. Only difference is what? One is alive, another one is dead body, he says. Have you seen? It's very interesting. When you go to some death, stranger's death, you look at that dead body, you can recognize it is dead. He's dead. But you look at those people who are close to him or her, what they say. To their eyes, it will look as though he is sleeping. Have you seen? If you have experienced it, is fascinating. I have seen 2-3 deaths like that, very close. I go there, but I'm not in touch with those people. I'm they're close relative, but I'm not in touch with them. But for the death, when I go there, people come. When my grandfather died, the villagers who are dealing with him on a daily basis, they come and see. He looks as though he is sleeping. Actually, it doesn't look like he is dead. I said, how come? It's so clear to my eyes. Why it appears like that to their eyes? Association is so close. Similarly, religion and ethics will have a very close association. Only difference is what? This is not my statement. This is what Vivekananda says. When religion dies, ethics born, he says. What is dead body is born when? After a man's breath goes, life goes, death comes. Now, don't go like this. Morality hawkers, says Vivekananda. He says, don't get into it, man. So the quality of evolution is what? The quality of an evolved human is, when you see a wrong action, you try not to judge and jump into correction. A man of evolution will not do it. If you understand the opposite of forgiveness, you understand forgiveness. What is forgiveness, sir? A mere acceptance of the person, irrespective of who he is, what he is doing, nothing. It's a mental acceptance, remember, not a physical one. We are not discussing what you should do. That doesn't mean if a person is a terrorist, you should allow him to keep killing. That's not what is said here. They're talking about your outlook towards that person. When you have this, what happens, sir? The other person gets that climate. There is a positive climate gets created in the other person to recognize their mistakes. That's what happened to Mary Magdalene. Obviously, when they were dragging her to Christ, mentally what she would be thinking? Mentally, she would be preparing to provide lot of arguments to resist. Now, suddenly, she saw a master who didn't resist. He says, you see, the consequence of forgiveness is what, sir? The other person will get out of sin. Now, remember, sin is not in action. Sin is not an action. Sin is the reaction that caused by an action. You do an action. If that action were to produce a mental agitation in you, you have sinned. You perform an action, it has not produced a mental agitation to you, you have not sinned. Period. This definition of sin, very, very difficult to digest. All of us understand sin in terms of action. That is ethics. That's not religion. That's not philosophy. That's not spirituality. Religion says sin is in reaction. I do something as a result of which I get disturbed. I've sinned. She could recognize that disturbance in her. You need to give an opportunity for that person to register that disturbance. That can happen only in the climate of forgiveness. So forgiveness is not for you. Most of the time we think forgiveness I am doing. Otherwise, if I don't forgive you, what will happen to me? It will eat me up inside like a cancer. So to protect myself, I am forgiving you. That is local. See, that's not what Vedanta says. Vedantic concept of forgiveness is totally different. It says you forgive. Or how? Why? Not that I am disturbed. See, the moment you say I am disturbed, that means what? Bottling up. See, 4 times you will forgive. The fellow comes late, comes late, comes late. First time you will say what? It's okay. Second time you will say what? Okay. Third time you will say okay. Fourth time, you burst out. Now, what is interesting is when you are bursting out the fourth time, you will be believing within yourself that first 3 times I forgave him. But Vedanta says, look carefully. First 3 times you did not forgive. Then, what is a proof? Think carefully. Any time you are getting angry, the belief of the opposite person is, why are you overreacting? Is it not? See, I have done such a small thing. For such a small thing, why are you screaming like this? Why are you shouting like this? Is how the other person feels, right? Nobody feels your reaction to their mistakes is just justified. It commensurates the mistakes. No one feels like that. Why? They always feel what? Which means this exaggerated manifestation, that exaggeration part comes from where? The so-called forgiveness. Why I have to forgive? Not because you want to protect yourself. Not because you have done. That's what I said at the beginning itself. It is not that you made a mistake and I suffered out of your action. Not possible. Nowhere a person can be giving happiness to another person or giving sorrow to another person. First part of it, all of us will agree. What is it, sir? You give if I give the next time topic, happiness is within. Sir, if happiness is within, sorrow also has to be within only, no? So how can the other person's action produce a sorrow in me? Not possible. But I am experiencing, is what I will say. Ishwaran, I am going through that agitation. That agitation is not because of his action. That agitation is stemming from your wrong understanding of life. What is a wrong understanding? The other person has to live their life according to my level of wisdom, my level of understanding. To my expectation, you got to live. What I fix as a standard, you got to follow. If you follow my standard, you are accepted. When you are falling short of my standard, I say what? First time I excuse you. Second time I excuse you. Fourth time when you repeat, what happens to me? I said nothing. Now Christ has to demonstrate that, because if I give this Mary Magdalene example, immediately everybody takes that as what? So that is big deal here, because Christ is not the affected party at all. Therefore, he can. That is why he goes to the extreme. Now, other dimension of Christ are hardly people talk. He forgave her and he goes inside the temple and whips people. And he curses the temple to get collapsed. he gets so annoyed, he gets so wild, he gets so angry. Now you understand Christ only this dimension. Other dimension of Christ you don't understand. So to explain to us, to make us recognize, he walks into that cross. They did not put it. He walked it. Remember, exaggerated, taken that pain, inflicting pain on him to the maximum. Most of us recognize there, but that's not him. Remember that he is demonstrating for you and me who are so low in our thinking. You grow a little, you don't see it there, you understand it here. That's what Mark Twain gives. Beautiful quotation of Mark Twain, statement of his. Forgiveness is the fragrance released by the violet as the foot crushes it, he says. I got the topic for fragrance of forgiveness from Mark Twain only. Thanks to Mark Twain, beautiful idea. As the foot crushes it, the violet releases a fragrance. He says that is called forgiveness. Now, somebody does something to you, a small thing they do, small thing done here, done there. You get so irritated, so frustrated. After that, you are not qualified to say forgiveness. Why, sir? You are doing it only to digest that reality. Digest the fact that I have to go through this experience. How am I to digest it? I need something to digest it. Excellent one is what? I forgive you. That's why Christ did not say, I forgive you fellows. He says what? Father, forgive them. He's not saying, see, absurd statement. If you analyze carefully, is Betal, what we call in Tamil, maybe too much of, pain. He doesn't understand what he's talking like. No. He is full of alertness. He is so conscious of what the word he is choosing. He says, Father, forgive them. Why should Father forgive? Your Father is nowhere in the picture. Only he is in the picture. But remember, this forgiveness when we discuss is not this. Forgiveness is your understanding that everyone functions helplessly according to their nature. And I have no business to interfere in that. In that climate, you go and relate to that person. That provides a fantastic opportunity for that person to turn inward and look within. If he turns inside and looks within, transformation happens automatic. We don't have to do anything. Forgiveness gives that chance. It accelerates the process of transformation in the other person. It has got nothing to do with you. When you say that I have forgiven somebody and the other person has not transformed, that means your forgiveness is pseudo. It's not true. True forgiveness will create that climate to turn inward, to recognize their fault according to them, not according to you. That is why you don't keep choosing people to forgive. You make a mistake and then no, there is no mistake at all actually. That's why Christ did not give a lecture to her. Look here, this time I saved you. Next time if they are caught, don't come to me. Next time, nothing of that sort. He did not start a lecture immediately to her. They what? Go. It's beautiful. Where are the accusers? See, they all gone. What are you doing? You also go. That's it. He had no comments on her. Absolutely no comments. It's a classic depiction, of forgiveness. So forgiveness is what, sir? Simply don't interfere. Coming from your understanding. It is coming from your understanding that I don't interfere with your life. Whatever you want. Thank you.